What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. Back here on the S10, as you saw in the last video, the truck moves. It, goes forward, goes back, backs out of the garage, goes down the street and back. It was starting to get a little hot in that video because we did not get all the air out of the radiator and the cooling system, so that is one thing that we got to work on. Another is the transmission still does leak a little. I'm just going to put a sealer into the fluid and hopefully that will at least slow the leak down. I don't want to take the transmission off again if I don't have to at this point, unless it blows up or something, but I'd like to get the truck actually going and where we can tune it and drive it. Along with that, we got a lot of other small things to do to get it running, at least on the road. We need to finish the exhaust. We got to get the wheel bearings changed out and put in. Go through and check all the lines, make sure they're not rubbing or touching anything, specifically the brake lines that are going and touching the oil pan underneath the truck. I got to put the front end back on. Eventually we got to get the hood to fit. Yeah, I mean, it's a bunch of small things. I got to get the fuses hooked up together correctly. I do have my wideband fuse where it is on all the time, and we don't want it on all the time. We want it to be controlled off ignition. So like I said, just a bunch of small things like that here and there that we got to get to where we can actually get into a reliable and drivable state, at least for a daily. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start with probably putting in that transmission sealer. Alright, so this is the transmission sealer that I'm going to use. I do not have any experience with this one, so I'm just going to try it out. On the instructions it says to pour 1 ounce for every quart that's in here, so I believe we put like 9 quarts in, so it'd be like 9 ounces, somewhere around there. Like I said, never tried it before, going to give it a try and see if it works. As y'all can see, I did a little work to the wiring here. So in this fuse box, I had the fuse for the wideband that I have in the truck. You can see it right there. And I had it on this block right here, F4. Well, F4, this bus bar, or this whole side of fuses is connected to a bus bar right here that runs to your power for the truck. And what that means is these are always hot. So that meant that the fuse going to the wideband sensor was always hot, which means it doesn't turn off at all. Not the way I want it. So what I did is I looked in my fuse block here. I found, I believe it's ignition E, and I installed a tap-a-fuse, or fuse tap. Right here you can see it takes your fuses and puts them off to the side. The bottom fuse is the original fuse for that location, and the top fuse is the power that you're tapping into. So the bottom fuse would be my ignition, top fuse would be my wideband sensor. And what I just did is I ran the wiring, connected it up, and tested it to make sure it works. So if we come over into the cab, you can see I'm going to turn the key right now that we have power to the wideband sensor, which is what I want. I also just started the truck to make sure that it would run, because sometimes this can be funky with your running components, but everything worked. So yeah, all my gauges worked, everything was perfect. Now what I'm going to do is unplug this, tidy up my workspace, and make the wiring look a lot better. You can see I ran heat shrink already preemptively. I will be heat shrinking the ends. You do not want to work on your electrical while your power is plugged in, so I just undid it. And you can see my connection is just a bullet connector. I have the female side is the side that is if I did it backwards. So ideally what you want to do is you want your female side to be on the end that will have the power. That way you can't accidentally stick it on something if you have your power connected and shorted or anything. The female side tends to be the safer side. That's why wall outlets are female instead of prongs sticking out, because it would be more dangerous that way. So I'm going to actually go ahead and change that around back to the proper way, reconnect everything, put some loom on it. Unfortunately, the way I want to do this is the power side is up front and the ground side of the fuse block's in the back. So I'm going to end up having this power run through the front because I want it to stay away from the grounds. You don't have to. I just want to. Personal preference thing. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get that wrapped up. Alright, as you can see, I just got everything finished and buttoned up and wired for the wideband sensor. So the cable is actually coming right through here underneath the fuse box, the main fuse box, underneath this fuse box, and then it's plugged in underneath. So I have the battery plugged back in, and I'm going to again verify, now that I have everything put together the way it should be, that the wideband turns on and that the truck starts and everything works as it should. Alright, so we're going to try this again. Wideband is heating up. I did not have the battery tightened down, so I'm hoping that is the issue. We do have fuel gauge showing up and the power, so let's see. Tac's working, wideband's working, oil pressure's working. It looks like everything is working. So, all good signs. All good signs. It looks like everything's working, and the wideband turned off as the truck turned off. So, I think everything is good now. I just had to tighten up the battery. Now that I have the wideband issue sorted out on the truck and the wiring figured out for it to where it turns on with the ignition and turns off with the key, I am going to go ahead and put the front end of the truck back on. So the bumper, grill, lights, valence, everything, and get this front end buttoned up pretty much. We are getting close to finishing all the tasks on the list off. Yeah, like I said earlier, we got the wheel bearings, got to finish the exhaust, got to fill up, top off pretty much the coolant on it, and just get everything buttoned up. The biggest challenge that we're going to have is going to be fitting the hood on. Yeah, I kind of foresee that being an issue because right now the height of that intake is really high. I also need to replace the alternator, I'm pretty sure. So we did rebuild this alternator. I also powder coated the housing while I was at it, and it's not charging, unfortunately. It's not charging the system at all, and I'm very disappointed on that because I spent the time powder coating it to, try getting it to look good and rebuilding it, and I spent the money on rebuilding it, and it just didn't work out. So fortunately, that's going to have to come off. When I go to do that, I have that bracket I made to protect the belt down there that I need to powder coat. So, I mean, a bunch of buttoning up, but in the meantime, I can put the front end together and get that, looking good. I can get the truck looking more complete. Alright guys, as you can see, I have the front end on the truck. So got the grill, bumper, valence, headlights, turn signals on, everything wired up. I did do some reorganization of the ballast because I do have HIDs with a projector housing made for HIDs so that I actually have a nice clean cutoff line. If you guys are curious about the headlights, I actually did do I filmed the process of me making those headlights. I just did not put that video out because I'm not quite happy with how they turned out. They turned out decent. I mean, the headlight pattern's great. I'm not happy with the quality of how the headlights came out. But They work, the HIDs turn on. I actually do have red demon eyes in it, and I'm going to show y'all that they work. I had to put the fuses in the fuse box because I did rewire them to that external fuse box that I have in there, the small one, this fuse relay box. But yeah, the headlights are in, they're mounted, everything on the front end is mounted. So I'm going to go ahead and show y'all what the demon eyes look like and the headlights look like. So first I'll show you the demon eyes, have them hooked up to a switch. Bada bing, bada boom. You can see they glow red on both sides. Everything works. Don't mind all the dust on here. It is very dirty because everything's been in storage, but everything has came together. So there's the demon eyes. And then the HIDs. Now if you can hear that, that's the ballast. That buzzing noise. That's the headlights actually, you know, powering up. So you notice that they start off dim and then they get brighter. That's just because of the power required. But once they are up, they are really bright. And like I said, they do have projector housing, so they do have a nice straight cutoff line. I will put a picture of that somewhere in the middle of the screen here, what that cutoff line looks like, or at least what it did when I initially did this. It should be the same. I'm looking at the wall. It's hard to see with the toolboxes and everything in the background, but it all looks good. Yeah, I'm really happy with how that turned out, besides the quality issues I've had with actually building the headlights. You know, with glue and adhesive, and if you get close to them, they don't look that good. But yeah, so front end is together. Go ahead and turn that off before I kill the battery. So needless to say, I am really happy with the truck right now. It is starting to come together and, you know, almost look like a finished product. And, you know, it's been a long time since I've seen this. I think almost 2 years in the making of this swap, just because of, you know, life. But it is slowly coming together and almost looks like a real truck now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I got a lot of work done on the truck today. As you can see, at least it looks like I got a lot of work done putting the front end on. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.